Hello, Warhammer Fantasy fans. This is Sheeb here with a battle report with Codex Dan. I am the other Dan on the Codex Dan channel, and today we're going to be doing a battle report with my new Skaven. So I am super excited to show off these guys. I have no idea what they can do. I heard they blow themselves up a lot. I'm super excited to see that happen. We went with the 2,500 point game because I wanted to bring a lot of rats, as you can see there in the box. There's a lot of clan rats, a lot of slaves, a lot of plague monks, and there's the rest, and then Dan's army is down here. The way this battle report's going to be set up is we have my GoPro strapped to my basement ceiling, and you can kind of see the edges of the basement there. I'm in the red, Dan's in the brown. So we rolled off. We just kind of said, okay, let's set up some terrain, not too much, because we know we're going to have big movement trays going on here. And we take some time to actually put our guys all in the movement trays, and this actually took quite a long time. But, you know, through the magic of technology, we can speed through here. This scenario we got set up for us was the number 5, I believe it was Blood and Glory, where we had just the middle we were allowed to deploy in, and the 9 inches on the sides were to be left vacant. That was pretty cool. It's also depends on your army's fortitude, so that's how many flags you have, battle standard bearers. I ended up having 7. I think Dan had 5. So the scenario is to, once you go below half your fortitude, you break your fortitude and you lose the scenario. So here we go. We're just going to get set up in here into the deployment, but before that, let's talk about the spells. My engineer had Warp Lightning and another spell never used. My Grey Seer had Skitter Leap, the Curse of the Horned Rat, and Cloud of Corruption, and Plague. And my level 2 Shaman in the Plague Furnace had Wither and Blessed with Filth. Dan's had a Lore Master, so he knew everything, so his army is packed full of mages. You guys may remember this from the last battle report. Actually, I don't think he's posted it yet, where he played my Wood Elves. Basically what Dan does is he has an Arachnarok Spider, which you'll see on the board here in just a moment, and he has like 9 level 1 Goblin Wizards, which all channel on a 4+ if they're within 12 inches, so they all just kind of follow the Arachnarok around, and he has an amazing magic phase because they channel so often. And with like 8 wizards to channel from, he always has a lot of power dice. There have been magic phases where I've played him where he has more dispel dice than I have power dice. It's just ridiculous. But I also had a lot of channels, 3 wizards myself, plus my engineer had the Warp Energy Condenser, which allowed me to channel at a 5+. Not nearly as good as Dan's 4+ for all his wizards, but alas, that's what happens. So he has Lore Master. A lot of them have signature spells. The Goblin on the Hoda, the Spider, is the Lore Master, and he also has a Big Orc Goblin Shaman, or Big Orc Shaman, which I was very lucky that he does not have the Foot of Gork, or the Hand of Gork as one of his spells, so he kind of lucked out there. Would have really helped him in this game. So you can see on the setup, Dan deploys first. Black Orcs, I match that. Actually, he places boys, and I match it with some slaves. Then he puts Black Orcs, and then I place my Plague Furnace with my Plague Monks. And then Goblins, and I just surround it with another group of slaves. My theory is, or my planning was to put like the Doom Wheel on a side of the slaves, so that if he has to zap anybody, it's going to zap slaves. Here I am loading up some more clan rats. These clan rats have full command, and the nice thing about them is I've taken 3 poison wind mortars with each one of the groups. There you can see Dan's finished deployment. He's got his Arachnarok, and he's just deploying his characters last, and they'll all be surrounded. His Arachnarok. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wizards. So I was off with 8, but he has 1 on here, and he has 1 in the boys squadron. So I'm deploying more. Let's see, am I setting up all my deployments? I got my 3 clan rats, 3 poison wind mortars, hell pit abomination, warp lightning cannon, plague sensor bears, and doom wheel. This was a mistake. I completely forgot. That's why I put the doom wheel close to the clan rats. It turned out not to be a bad mistake, because you'll see later on that I do restrain from shooting my own guys. But they would have, I think the warp lightning cannon was a bit closer. But I would have moved still, so maybe would have moved over the hill. Whatever, that's the way it went. And the terrain's like that. So what's going on to turn 1? I think we're just talking about our spells now, and I'm planning about, there's my spells. You can see what ones have which spells. I didn't have the pleasure of getting the Skaven magic cards, so I made my own. Yep. I also have cheat sheets for the Hell Pit Abomination, the Plague Furnace, and the Doom Wheel, because they do crazy stuff, and this is my first game, and there will be a lot of crazy things happening. Alright, so we go on here. Turn 1, Dan moves up his boys. Black Orcs, pretty much all his goblins, and the Arachnarok. He wants to get into combat. I'm a combat army. He's built for combat. He just wants to hurry up, kill me, and break me, which is fine by me. I want to say, bring it on. So he's going up here. Magic phase was pretty uneventful. He cast some low-level spells that he really didn't need to get off, just to try to steal my dispel dice. Really wasn't successful, like Itchy Nuisance and the blind one. No, it didn't happen. So first magic phase, pretty uneventful. Nothing really happened. He did cast Magic Missile and killed one clan rat, which you'll see there actually was a slave. So there's the measure for that. And the clan rat will be taken, or the slave will be taken off. Yeah, there we go. And there it is. So uneventful. A lot of things happen. My turn. I move up with these things. Everything there. Plague Furnace. Slaves move up. Sensor Bears. Doom Wheel only goes forward a short distance, so he's going to be zapping those slaves. It looks like they may be closer. And nothing moves up here on the clan rat side. Poison Wind Mortars are just going to shoot. But it's on to the magic phase. I cast nothing that's really of importance. He dispels after I spell bomb. Plague, he dispel scrolls it. Wise of him, because if he would have Plague ravaged his lines early in the game, that's not very good. Let's see, Warp Lightning Cannon shoots, kills a guy. We totally played the Warp Lightning Cannon wrong. I forgot about the D6 wounds for any unsaved wound. I actually hit his spider and could have caused 6 wounds. At strength 10. It was actually really amazing. I think the 4 times that I shot the Warp Lightning Cannon, maybe even 5 times, for distance, on the bounce I got usually a 10 or a 2. Then for strength, always a 10. It was ridiculous. I am sure I'm breaking Warhammer like odds left, right, and center with my dice rolls this game. They were phenomenal. I also charge up the Hell Pit Abomination to go enter that forest. It is a normal forest. And the forest on the right here is, as we'll find out, just a minor dangerous terrain test for us, number 5. Okay, what else is happening here? Poison Wind Mortars are shooting, getting a bunch of boys killed, and my last mortar could only shoot at what he could see unless he wanted to scatter, so I shot the Goblins, which is fine by me. Killed a bunch. All 3 of them were direct hits. No misfires, which was a bonus. Alright, then we're going to go on to his turn, because he's going to declare charges. Goblins, Black Orcs, all going into my Plague Furnace. Everything else just sort of shimmies forward, as you'll see in just a moment. Boom, boom. They make that charge quite easily. Boys move up. We decided, which was a huge mistake, to move that forest because it was getting in the way. And rather than taking out all the trees... Oh, there's the baby. And babysitting also. That we should just remove the trees. Which ended up being a huge mistake, because when I did charge in my Hell Pit Abomination later on, you are not steadfast in a forest, and he most likely would have ran, because I tore him to pieces, not to give anything away. Movements. He wants to try and angle his spider. He decides against it because he couldn't get there. I would definitely get a flank charge, and since I can pivot and totally charge a different direction with that model, he decided to play it safe, where I could not charge him without charging the Goblins first. What's going on here next? Checking out some dice rolls. I'm planning my attacks because we have a lot here that's going on. And here it goes. So this is just the big combat that's going on here. We're just targeting everybody. I have a plague priest on there. The plague furnace has its own special attacks. The plague monks are frenzied and have hatred, so I get a whopping good roll. We'll start to see the death pile up here. So those are black orcs, phenomenal, and then goblins had to be shot. I also charged in my plague censer bears, which are phenomenal in combat, and they just rip to pieces these black goblins. Not the best thing to get them in contact with, but I didn't have a whole lot of options at this point. I did pass leadership, so we did not zap anyone with lightning this round, which was good. Charge in both slave units, why not? Figured I'd get some combat res and maybe pop him. Did not go the way I planned because this is the second round of combat, and all of my guys are a lot weaker the second round of combat. They lose their hatred and whatnot. I did forget to activate my plague banner, which is what I was thinking, because then this would essentially make this unit reroll to hit and to wound, making it super deadly with my 3 attacks each while frenzied, which would give me more combat res, so charging in with these slaves would have been more useful. However, I forgot the entire game to activate my plague banner. So I actually did not do very good this combat the second round. But you'll see the dead pile. Alright, this was fun. So I do, in my magic phase, cast Skitter Leap, and I Skitter Leap my engineer over here because I have a Doom Rocket. Let's see if we get there's a template. Those are for poison wind mortars. So we didn't get the big template, but the template actually landed on a bunch of his guys here. Earlier I wanted to shoot it down his lines, but he dispelled it with his dice on the first magic phase because I was really excited to do a big Doom Rocket across his lines. But I thought I would try to take out a bunch of these level 1s. Totally still getting used to fantasy where you cannot instant kill on a strength 10, so sucks. More poison wind mortars devastate that unit, but I do some misfires, and Dan places it on top of my guys, which is, in true Skaven fashion, hilarious. As you can see, I lose a lot of guys from combat and from I think that's just from poison wind. I did manage to cast death frenzy on this unit. Another reason we get him into combat, but at the end of every my turn, they take D6 wounds. So they are slaves that are being whittled down really quickly. Alright, now we're going on here. I managed to break the goblins and pursue them because they are outside of the leadership bubble. They flee, and I was not able to overrun. We had a question, I'm not too familiar with it, but since this has got random movement, when he pursues, does he pursue 3d6? We played it as he pursues 3d6 and takes the highest 2, and we discard the lowest, kind of like Swift Stride. But if that is a misplay, please let me know in the comments. But now I'm lined up perfectly for his Arachnarok Spider. I didn't even do like the best attacks he could. It was just like, actually I think I got the 3d6 attack, which is not bad. The first round of combat, I did the did some pretty devastating attacks. Poison Wind also misfires twice that round, so that unit got hit twice with the same hit and killed a lot of clan rats, slaves actually. Great look of my head. What are we doing now? Combat's still going on. His Night Goblins actually managed to kill 2 of my Plague Sensor Bears. I fail one of my Plague's toughness test, and he loses a buttload of Night Goblins. It was quite fun, actually. Like, each round of combat, we would lose like 17 each aside. Really whittling down that Plague Monk unit. In hindsight, Dan's was using Choppas and then great weapons and doing devastating amounts of damage, but he should have been targeting the Plague Furnace. I don't know if that would have been the best call. We were kind of debating about it later on, and it may not have been the best call, but he thought that maybe what he should have done, but too little too late. I managed to kill a bunch of his Black Orcs with the Wrecker attack and with Fog, which is just hilarious, but then I have 3 units that also get the Fog attack and do devastating amounts to it, so my slaves are also being whittled down quite quickly. And there's the combat. Interesting enough, we stick I'm unbreakable. Goblins run. Slaves are managed to overrun, which is phenomenal. We have no idea what actually happens to that fanatic. I think he just stays there the entire game. I'm not sure. Maybe the Doom Wheel kills him. Maybe we'll find out. Anyways, slaves pursue up here. They overrun, which is phenomenal. I love Dan's death pile. I've never taken off so many orc models. This is phenomenal. I love this game. We're also at the point where if he loses his general and his battle standard bearer, or his general and one of his standards, he loses fortitude and I win the game. So if this black orc unit breaks, he loses. Which is super right. I've never even touched these guys yet. And the Hell Pit's just doing its thing, being a monster, running around. So he charges his boys, and seeing that he cannot lose the Black Orcs, they need to get into combat and help push the tide over. So that's what he does. He charges in. Ragnarok charges into the Hell Pit, which is to be expected. His goblins, night goblins, rally, so they swift reform, turn around, and face my Hell Pit. Lucky for him, he does a super amount of attacks, doesn't hurt it too much. I'm holding the baby. Let's see what else is happening. I think we're just casting spells, but we're dispelling them right, left, right, and center. He does cast poison attacks on the Ragnarok, and I dispel scroll that because I do not want this Hell Pit dying so soon. I need him to stay alive a little bit longer. Putting some wounds on him, that's good. That was probably from, again, the Warp Lightning Cannon, which was able to shoot him because it's up on its hind legs. Big arc. Again, another strength 10 hit, so he should have taken more wounds, but we only played it as one wound. I forgot to multiply by d6. And what's going on here? More spells being cast. Now we're into combat. The flesh attack. He failed his both initiative tests, so he took more wounds, both the monster and the rider. And I attacked him, flubbed my attacks. He did quite alright, and then we took a cheesecake break because there's a whole lot of screens of nothing. Alright, and we're back from the cheesecake break. And there's my iPhone. Cool. And okay, now we're into this combat. The slaves get wiped out. There's one slave left, which is phenomenal. And you'll see why in a second. Kill a lot more plague monks. All but are gone, but the guy with the banner. The black or the orc boys managed to overrun the slaves, which was crazy good because when they did the overrun, slaves don't run, they just sort of scatter. And when they scatter, it's kind of like you take everyone in a d6 inch radius takes d3 plus my rank bonus hits. I only had one guy, but still possible d3 strength 2 hits. Got a 6-inch radius, killed one of my last plague monks, killed I think 2 boys and a black orc, all from one rat running away. So the slaves exploding is hilarious and useful this round. But they were able to overrun. If that was a misplay, now that I think about it, we may have done that wrong. Just let us know. Because I'm pretty sure he broke from combat and he pursued. Okay, so that's why he pursued. My slaves sort of do the reform. Doom Wheel moves up. I'm trying to get the Doom Wheel close to the Ragnarok, but I can't roll high to save my life. That's what's going on here. We do a little reform because when he does the overrun, I want to be able to see him and charge him. He was out of my charge rank arc, so I was not able to charge him that turn, which was good. Why he wanted to do an overrun. Whittle down this clan rat unit with his magic missile in the magic phase. But I decided to poison wind mortar them to pieces. One hit, a couple more misfires. Not very good. And let me back up here. Hell Pit dies. So this was the Hell Pit attack. He managed to get a whole lot of attacks in, especially that attack that is the super poison attack. So I cried there. And rat swarms emerged, but since I don't have any rat swarms, we played it as, if you don't have the model, you can't place it. So I thought that was pretty fair. I will make some swarms soon. Alright, now the attack on the plague furnace and the plague priest and the guy with the banner. They put all their attacks on the Plague Furnace. Managed to kill the guy, the Battle Standard Bearer, who has the Plague Banner, which I never activated, and a wound on the Plague Furnace. Good for Dan. He's doing some consolidation here, just trying to maximize so he can attack the most. I just have my Plague Priest and the Furnace. I do not believe this has ever happened in Skaven history, just because we're not really sure how to play with the Plague Furnace or the Screaming Bell. Usually people target this thing first. Anyways, it's got no more pushers, so it's just going to stay there and locked in combat. Which is fine by me. That's what I want. And he charges my clan rats and manages to kill a lot of them. He moves up all his goblins, which are within 12 inches of the shrine. So from here to here, it's exactly 12 inches. He does this every game, and it is very difficult to deal with when you have 7 wizards running around. And what happened to that fanatic? Does anyone know? Anyone see it? That's not the fanatic. That's one of the wizards that actually had a panic test from the goblins breaking, and he fled. But then he rallied. He was insane. Anytime he had a panic test go through his lines, he would fail like 3 of them, re-roll, still fail them, but then rally them next turn. I don't know how he did it, but he got lucky. Combat's up there. I don't think it goes well. I think they So this was a misplay, so we realized that I have a rank bonus added to my leadership, so I actually would not have run off the board if somebody were to charge me. He ended up killing a Poison Wind Mortar outright, causing a panic test around everybody. These guys all stuck. This guy ran, but we realized we had to add +2 ranks because he has 2 complete ranks to the leadership, and he would have passed it. So we put them back, which is good. I'm glad we caught that before I lost my general with the Gracier. But as you'll see, he casts a magic vortex going right through these 2 clan rat units. And yeah, when I was, praising my guys for not losing the general running off the board, their unit dies. Pretty much. They take a lot of casualties. General's still alive though, not for long. Sorry to give that one away. And going through combat, he snipes the general with a magic spell, Headbutt, and kills him with his last 2 wounds. Never got to use his D3 Warpstone tokens. I did manage to generate 3 of them, which is phenomenal. Mortar, running away and fleeing. Combat, they take out all of these guys. That's pretty much what happens. And they managed to kill my Battle Standard Bearer, because that's the Battle Standard Bearer, before he gets to use his great weapon. So I am upset. He does a reform, but I kill all the Black Orcs, so technically I won. And the game should be over. But being Dan and this being such a funny game, and there were so many ups and downs, we decided to, hey, let's just keep playing. We have some time. This guy can't move, so but he can cast spells and generate power dice, so that's good. And this is my engineer. If I called him a fleeing guy, that was my mistake. This guy must have been the fleeing guy. This is actually my engineer, who had the Doom Rocket, and he warped lightning cannoned, and I think he dispelled it with his dice. Slaves, or Doom Wheel charges in to the flank there. Slaves move up on the hill with the engineer, trying to do stuff. I cast Warp Lightning on one of these guys, and he dispels it again. The bum. I charge into these boys because I figure I can kill them with, 12 clan rats, and these 5 clan rats charge into a lone wizard, and the mortar, he's just going to take it in the face. What happens here? Not good for the slaves. Those orc boys actually tear them up. I kill one and overrun into the next one. But this combat, yeah, it goes bad. I kill one boy and they manage to break me, and I flee close to the vortex, which we realized we were supposed to have moved, so we moved it shortly. But his goblins are moving up, trying to get a flank charge. He actually fails it, which is hilarious because there was a goblin there which he charged in, and in order for him to kind of wheel around, he would have had to wheel around, and he would have needed to roll a 4, and he rolled a 3. Dan was a good sport about it, and didn't want to argue it too much, but I said, I think you need a 4, not a 3, and that's how it went. Combats, they charge the Poison Wind Mortar. That thing breaks because it is weak. Because it's got a nice armor save though, but week by Skaven standards, and he, in his magic phase, this is Dan's saving grace for the game. He managed to buff these two Night Goblins with like sneaky stab and poisoned attacks, so they actually did decent in combat, and I flubbed my attacks, and he killed more than me, and those two little level 1 Night Goblin Shaman actually ran down my Skaven clan rats. But last turn, I managed to charge in my slaves, my engineer, and my doom wheel, and cause horrific amounts of damage to this Night Goblin unit, which would have caused panic on these guys, and they would have fled. So this is pretty much the game. Let's see how many. Yeah, that's a lot of Night Goblins. Interesting enough, I actually have 5 gutter runners, which I planned on turn 2 or 3. 2, since he moved everything up, I did plan to bring in my gutter runners right where Dan's head would be, and so I can get a rear charge, because normally he brings 2 goblin doom rockets, doom flyers, whatever they are, and they devastate my hydras and tree men and any big unit, and I thought he would have been shooting it at the plague furnace. That's why I took the 6+ against war machines upgrade, but he didn't bring any, so I completely forgot about my gutter runners and did not bring them in the entire game. I overrun, that's amazing, and we call it, and we start packing things up at this point. It was a lot of fun playing with Skaven. Honestly, the most fun Warhammer game I've had. It seems like the more I play, the more fun I have with every single game, whether it's blowing myself up or taking an amazing archer gun line that rivals a dwarf gun line. I've just been having a lot of fun. Stay tuned. We are going to be doing some more battle reports. I know we're putting them out kind of slowish, but we're going to get back on track. I'm just starting my new semester at school. I still have work to do for my job, and I'm a father, and I now have 1 million rats to paint. Also, I want to give a big thanks to one of our fans who was allowed me to purchase his clan rats, his entire Skaven army for him, for a really decent price. Thank you so much. You know who you are, and I really appreciate it. I will do a follow-up video showing my entire Skaven army, what it's going to be, hopefully when it's finished, and hopefully we'll get to go to some tournaments. For those of you who are in the Alberta area, we do have the October Onslaught coming up, and Dan and I will both be making an appearance at that. I will be bringing my Wood Elves, and Dan's going to bring his Orcs and Goblins, of course. We are going to be doing some more battle reports of those games, so stay tuned. I know we're also going to have some of our other YouTube friends doing battle reports there too, and we look forward to seeing them and maybe even facing them, because that would be epic. Well, thanks for watching, and you guys all have a great day.